There you go.
There we are. Okay.
Yep. And we are welcoming, I'm supposed to say, the Tony nominated Allan Krill, all the way from New York City. How's that?
Hello. 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 Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for giving us the opportunity to talk to you.
Oh my
I'm going
gosh.
to have to ask, how are you doing in pandemic
Well,
environment?
it's it's a lot. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's a lot. It's been over 10 months now, and I guess about 10 months exactly. And geez, I think it's actually 10 months exactly today, the
Right, right.
13th.
Yeah,
Um, since Broadway shut down anyway.
right.
So it's up and down. It was extremely um I don't know what the word is. There were so many words. It was discouraging, and it was frustrating, and sad, and disconcerting, of course, scary, that something came along that was so powerful, basically, that it shut down Broadway. I mean, it just seems
Exactly.
so
Exactly.
inconceivable, and but we're artists, we're theater artists, we're used to scrambling. So that's what I've been doing. I've just been trying to stay positive and healthy, and
Right.
keep trying to sort of flex my artistic muscles in any way that I can find. I've been doing a lot of songwriting, playing guitar, and lately some film and TV stuff has come back because of the protocols put in place by the union is
Mm,
SAG-AFTRA, and they have put some pretty strong protocols in place that seem to be working, knock wood.
mm.
So I've been able to do some of that kind of work lately, and we were able to do, because of that as well, some a reunion of the Jagged Little Pill cast
Mm-hmm.
that we filmed live in a theater after going through much testing, and a lot of protocols, safety protocols for that. So up and down. I'm trying to hang in there. I keep reminding myself that as sort of inconvenienced as I might feel because I don't have my job or my industry, it isn't. What really matters is that people are getting sick and people are dying, and that what matters is that we fix that first.
Right, right. And like you said about being creative. You gotta admit, the Broadway people created this big Zoom Broadway thing that it surfaced all of a sudden. Thank God for Zoom, for everything that's been happening right now. I mean, I saw what you guys did for the Biden Harris
Yes.
campaign. That was so awesome. And I said, like, okay, is Elizabeth in her bathroom or something when she was doing it? It was his, not
We were
hysterical, but
all over the place. It really is hilarious how when I tell people, for example, I don't know if you saw it, but we did a video for Alanis released
yes,
a
yes,
video
right,
for Smiling,
yeah, yeah, I saw
and
that there.
we were all in it, and we were all just kind of doing movement in our own isolated places. I mean, literally, that was me just on my wall right there in my room. I know we were all just like, I don't know what to do. I mean, this is all just a whole new world. And so, yeah, yes, I don't think she was in her bathroom. I think she was in a little corner of an alcove in like an attic where she was staying in a cabin. Like, it was, you scramble, you do what you do. You try to find a blank wall and you just
Right,
go.
right, right. I was telling my husband the other day, I was kind of like, okay, so what our daughter is doing inside her bedroom is pretty normal, you know, acting out and singing out in a little corner. Because she did
Sure.
all her audition too with the back of the door, kind of like doing this. Mom, can I borrow your light? Yeah, sure, fine, okay. So it's the artistic thing in them. Now, let's remind people you are also not only theater, but you've done television. I know you were in iRobot. I know you were in
Mr.
Blacklist.
Robot, yes, Mr.
Right.
Yeah,
Mr. Robot,
I Robot is the
the
movie, but
movie, Mr.
yes, yes,
Robot, yeah.
yes.
And you're saying that you've done television. Are we expecting you to be on television in the next couple of months? So we should know
Well,
that you can talk about it.
yeah, yeah. I
No.
got a little tiny little part coming up in a brand new miniseries on Hulu
Okay.
called Dope Sick, which is about also as Jagged Little Pill is largely about it. Dope Sick is about the opioid crisis,
Right.
the sort of origins of the opioid crisis, beginning in the mid '90s, and I have worked with the one of the writers, and I'm trying to think what he's the lead producer. He's one of the lead producers on the miniseries. Danny Strong is someone that I've worked with before in theater when I did a sort of reimagined, rewritten production of Chess, the musical.
Right. Right.
Danny rewrote that book, and it was brilliant. And so I met him doing that, and he's about fancy big shot in Hollywood, and so he's creating all of this really amazing new stuff, and he was kind enough to ask me along for this mini series. And then I also found out that there's a new series called Dr. Death, and I'm doing some of that. So yeah, I mean, trying to keep busy.
So let me go back a little bit. Sean, have you always been in love with theater from the very beginning? Like every child there is, like they watch it. That's what
I was not that kid. I wasn't. I was in love with music.
Okay.
I was in love with music, and I was passionately in love with art. I was always drawing when I was a kid, always. From the time I can even remember, I always had a pencil and paper, and I was always drawing. And for most of my childhood and my young adult years in high school, I was just certain I was going to be a commercial artist or a graphic designer. And then in high school, I got more and more involved in band. I played the trombone, and I was drum major, and I was in symphonic and jazz, and I was in all of the bands. And because of band, it sort of led me to the theater program. And in my sophomore year, I was urged by friends to audition for the musical, which was Once Upon a Mattress, and I was terrified, but I did it, and I got a really good part. And that really was when I started getting hooked. And then it was my senior year when I was doing Little Shop of Horrors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like your daughter. And I was playing Seymour, and I was in the middle of a performance of that. And that was when I had a moment where I vividly remember standing there and thinking, wow, this connection with an audience is so special. It is such a communal, glorious feeling that you don't get, when you're drawing alone in your room, or you can get it when you're in a band, for sure, when you're involved in music. But there's something about theater that obviously hooked me. And then so I went to college and studied all three, art and music and theater, my first year. And then by the end of my first year, I was like, okay, no, I'm focusing on theater. And here I am all these years later.
And you're doing both. I mean, your resume says it all. I mean, you're part of the theater company in Chicago that you did Shakespeare too. So
yes, Chicago Shakes. Yes, I studied. I did a lot of classic theater when I studied in college, so I have been lucky enough to be able to do that professionally as well. Chicago Shakespeare Theater and the Court Theater in Chicago. Chicago's theater scene is just incredible. I miss it terribly. I was basically, as a young professional, I was raised, on Chicago theater. I lived there for a good 15 years, and I just can't say enough good things about it. It's an incredibly rich, nurturing environment as a young actor. And I was lucky enough to do both musical theater and straight theater. They call it, straight theater, just plays. And I have been able to do the same here in New York. It's been a while since I've done a play, but most of my plays have been off-Broadway.
Now I have to ask this, like, let's aside dollar signs and everything else, but you as an artist, is there a preference between straight up theater, which is plays and everything, or musical? I don't want to put you on the spot, but yeah.
Well, there are pros and cons to both. I mean, doing a musical, I will say doing a musical is hard. I am not a singer first. So for me, I always have to really think about singing. It doesn't necessarily come naturally to me. So for me, when you're doing a play is difficult. I don't mean to say
Right.
that doing a play is easy. It's just that adding the added element of singing 8 times a week, having to do a vocal show 8 times a week is so much work. Sometimes I just get so exhausted by it. And as I'm sure everybody does, but it's like, it's basically like a form of it's an athletic form,
Yeah, it's a workout.
Yes, exactly. I don't even, and I can't even get into the people that dance. I don't
Right.
dance. But I mean, the dancers they have to do that 8 times a week. It blows my mind. So there's pros and cons to it. I love singing. I do. I love singing. So I'm always so thrilled to be in a musical. But then, also then if I'm lucky enough to then get in a play, I will admit there's a part of me that's like, oh, I'm so glad I don't have to sing.
But you did Mamma Mia too. Hello.
I did Mamma Mia for a long time. I did Mamma Mia for almost 4 years total.
Wow. That's okay. That's 4 times. Okay. Now we don't
2
have
years.
to.
Yeah, 2 years on the road and then a year on Broadway. And then I went out to do a sort of reboot production in Vegas that lasted only about 4. There were a lot of sort of problems with the casino out there, but it was supposed to run forever, but it ran for about 5 months. So yeah, about 3.5 years I did Mamma Mia. I love that show. I mean, it was just a blast.
We love Mamma Mia. Oh, it's like it's me and my daughter singing whatever in the car, and it's just it's incredible.
What's not to love? That music is amazing.
It's exactly. Now, here's my thing. I guess because my question is like, you are this right now. You're in this stage of like being successful in both theater and. Okay, I don't want to jinx it, but
thank you.
But because I promise that I'm going to ask questions that are geared to the kids that say like, how do you get this far not being discouraged? Because one thing that my daughter always tells me, like, because she's been doing for Niha, like very young, she knows it's an audition of ups and downs. So she's kind of like so settled, like, okay, I'm going to audition, but I'm going to be fine. That there's going to be a next audition. For those kids who aren't prepared for that, how do you kind of like keep a composure and getting over rejection? Because she usually tells me like, well, it's actually 85% rejection before getting a part. And if you don't have your heart in it, you'll be discouraged. So what advice would you tell kids who are into this, and for them to be able to get where you are, or like any person that they see on Broadway? What advice can you give them?
Well, that's a very complex question with possibly even a more complex answer, because I've been doing this for about 30 years now. It's about 3 decades I've been doing this, and I guess I could say what I've learned is that first and foremost, the best thing you can do for yourself as a performer is do the work. Don't skip. I did that for a few years in the beginning of my career, thinking I could just sort of like, half-ass my audition, kind of know it, and go in and glance down at the paper. No. Just do your work as much as you can. Be as prepared as you possibly can be, because that is ultimately the best gift you can give yourself, because you are then going to leave the room knowing you did the absolute very best you could, right? I spent too many auditions walking out thinking, like, beating myself up, because I knew deep down inside I didn't really do my best. I didn't really prepare. I didn't really do the work. So that's one. Two, one of the most important things to remember, I think, is that not getting a job has nothing to do with how well you did in that room or your talent or what you have to offer. It is a crazy, big, complex, convoluted puzzle, a show. And so it is so important to remember, A, that when you walk in that room, those people behind the table want you to be the answer to their problem. So remember that first. When you walk in, they are not sitting there going, I don't think you can do it. They're sitting there going, please be the one, please be the answer, please, so to remember when you walk in the room that there's actually, no matter what they might look like, they probably just look that way because they're exhausted, because they've been sitting there watching people all day long. But I like to think that when I walk in the room, they want me to do the very best I can. So there's that. The second thing, and probably even the most important thing, is that what I just said before, is that whatever you do in that room, whether or not you get the part, it is so very seldom, it's frustrating, but it's very seldom connected to how well you did in the audition.
Yes. Yeah.
There are so many other factors. It's whether or not you fit the part. It's whether or not you are taller than the person they've already cast. It's whether, there are a million other things that come into play. I have been on the other side of the table as what we call a reader,
right.
Person that sits there and reads with the people that are auditioning. And I have seen people come in and give the most brilliant audition and walk out of the room, and everyone looks at each other behind the table and they go, they are incredible. That's the most amazing audition I have ever seen. Yes. Oh my God. That is an amazing, beautiful, singular talent. They're not right for the role, but wow, amazing. And that person very, very seldom actually gets to know that happened,
Yeah.
So as an actor, we don't always get that kind of feedback.
That's right.
All you hear is basically, you didn't get it.
Yeah. Thank you
And
for your time.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Next. And so that's really helped me a lot lately, is like, I have what I have to offer. I go in, I show it. If it fits in the show, that is amazing. If it doesn't, it really has nothing to do with what I did. You know what I mean? If I've done my work.
Right. Now you've been doing let's concentrate on Jagged Little Pill right now. You said you've been doing it like 8 straight weeks just before pandemic. You guys started you didn't start what 2019?
We started in 2019. We started previews in September, I believe, and then we opened December 5th.
All right. And then, because I remember I watching your interview with Elizabeth in like February of 2020, which is kind of weird. I'm like, are they aware there's pandemic? It was because it was those beginning of those months that we were hearing it. So
we were, but we were just like, just trying to keep going forward, Now,
how does one cope with performing every day, or do you see yourself performing differently from the day before to today, or it's just like becoming a routine kind of thing, or like can you you step off after the curtains are down, it's like, shoot, I have done differently from yesterday? Yeah,
it's always a little different because it's live. It just
right.
I think it's a really healthy mixture of knowing what the sort of strong skeleton of your show is, the show, and also your personal show, adhering to that, because that's your base, that's your foundation.
Right.
And then giving yourself the freedom to kind of play around in there, because it's live, it's a live art form. So it is naturally going to change a little bit. You can't, we're not machines, it's not a film. And so it is a little bit different every night, and there's no reason to really beat yourself up for feeling like it's, I mean, every now and then it happens, just because we're human beings. I'll
Right.
walk off stage and I'll be like, oh, that that note was not great. I need to like figure that out. Or I didn't like the way I said that line, or whatever. You're always kind of working and tweaking.
Right.
But no, I think I absolutely expect that in theater it's going to be a living, breathing animal. It's going to change a little bit.
Now I have to ask you, because it was one of my questions that I kind of like write it up while watching you yesterday on my YouTube, and I said, like, how did you keep up with those kids? Jeez.
That's a really good question. I don't know. They're so young and vibrant.
Well, I saw when you had that YouTube thing that you did. I think it's a behind the scene on when you were working the journey to the I think, oh my Lord, it goes like they are all over the place. It goes like, I don't know how to do that. I mean, how
they give me energy. I mean, I have learned so much from this younger generation of performers, and I'm so grateful for it. I'm a pretty an extremely open-minded person coming into this. I was, but the younger generation of people, their hearts and souls are even more cracked open, and I'm so grateful to be around that and to learn from it. And I think I have something to share with them as well, with a little bit of experience under my belt. And so it's lovely. I don't have to do it. I mean, let's face it, as Steve, I don't really have to do as much as they do. I don't ever have to dance. They don't want dad to dance, so.
Is there a difference, Sean, as far as Sean the theater guy and Sean the TV guy?
Well, not really. It's really just, I've said this before when someone asked me this question, it's really just a difference in, I mean, as far as if you're talking about the technique of acting on stage and the technique of acting on film, the way I navigate it is that I like to think of it as what is the size of my audience? What's the size of the group of people watching this? And when you're doing, a 200 seat or a little black box performance, you're gonna know that you've got a little bit of freedom to be smaller because it's only 200 people out there. If you're doing a show for 2,000 people, you've got to make it a little bit bigger and send it to the back row. But when you're doing film and TV, essentially what you're doing, and it's the way I think of it, is that it is art that is crafted to be viewed by one person.
That's true.
It is formatted for one person to experience it. And so I always just sort of imagine there's one person like 3 feet from me watching it. And so I just adjust the size of my audience, basically. That's the way I approach it.
Now, I mean, I normally ask this to the people that I ask who are working in television, but I guess because in theater you can't, quote unquote, see it until it's on DVD, what you're doing in theater. But do you watch yourself? Do you kind of like watch yourself and kind of like, oh, see, you don't watch yourself?
No, I don't like watching myself, especially, I mean, if it's something that is well produced, I don't mind it as much. But watching, a sort of, like watching video of a theater performance is not the same as being in the room.
Exactly.
And so there's always something that's kind of, the soul is kind of sucked out of whatever that theater piece is when you watch it just filmed with one camera from the back of the room. you know, it's just not the same. So but in general, I have a very hard time listening to myself sing and watching myself perform. But you kind of can't avoid it at some points, you know, like you see like a press release or a B-roll
Right.
thing, and you just see yourself and you go, wow, I didn't know I looked like that when I was doing that. Okay, all right, that's not terrible. You know.
Well, you do sound good. I mean, hello. I mean, I can say that. I've been watching it for the things. I have to admit, I am so clueless because we're in Hawaii. Not to say that I learned my stuff about theater because of my daughter, who doesn't listen to anything other than Broadway. Yeah, she knows all the stuff, and she'll tell me there's something going on, and then she goes like, "But I didn't know about Jagged Little Pill until you guys did the Macy's Thanksgiving
Oh,
parade."
really?
Yeah, and we were watching it here. Holy cow, I like that song. And then you did the Broadway thing, I think, on NBC.
On NBC. Mm-hmm.
And we did it. Like, okay, I gotta find where he is right now. It goes like, and search IMDb, and that's how I found you. And then I said, like, that's why when you accepted my friend request, and I said, you have to ask my daughter. I went ballistic. And I said, I have a Broadway friend now, right now. It goes like, but it's so the song you learned. I fell in love with that. Seriously.
Oh,
I mean,
did you know the album?
No, I did not. I know, and like what I tweeted the other day, I said like I started listening to the album because of you guys. I am so clueless.
Alanis's album.
Right,
You started
yeah,
listening to Alanis.
right,
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
But now I have everything between your soundtrack and her music. It's got okay. All right, I got it done now.
No, I mean, that album is just, it's unbelievable. She wrote that when she was 18, 19 years old. And I just, you know, I've said this many times. I just absolutely, it's so hard for me to fathom that such a young person wrote that song, You Learn. It's full of so much enlightenment and insight into being human and being alive. And I know that I did not have that kind of insight when I was 19 years old. So I'm so wildly impressed by her.
Yeah, and it's so, how much, I think I wrote soulful.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
it's a lot of soul from when I was like listening to it, trying to kind of like figuring out what questions I'm gonna ask you or whatever, or trying to study what I'm supposed to learn about the musical and her music and you. And I think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm talking to you right now, but I think you're such a soulful guy. Just
Oh, well,
based on,
thank you.
I wish we can see you in New York, and get a chance to kind of like, hey, we have a selfie. I interviewed you before, and you know.
Sure. Hopefully soon. Hopefully in the fall. Come in the fall. Hopefully.
Oh, we will be because well, if she's gonna be in New York soon, yeah, we will. We promise her that we'll be hitting up the Broadway, you know, community. And um, before I let you go, first of all, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
Of course, it's been a pleasure. It's so good to talk to you.
Yeah, just know that somebody from Hawaii is very starstruck with you guys. And
Well, I love that. And as I said before, I've never been. So if I come to Hawaii, I might be bugging you. So
oh, bug me anytime. I have people ask me that, hey, how is it? No, let me know. And we'll be going anywhere. But can you give a little message to all the theater kids that will be watching this later this afternoon, to them, a little encouragement?
Yeah, I know it's a really tough time. I'll start with that. This is a really, really difficult time for theater in general, you know, and for live arts workers are really, really suffering right now because we just can't do what we do. It is too unsafe to have a large group of people gathered, you know, to experience theater and music and ballet, you know, opera. All those live art forms are suffering right now, and the performers involved in that, me and I think a lot about the kids. I have a niece that just graduated college, and she was going to move here and pursue, theater as a career, and it's all on hold. And I know how terribly frustrated and anxious I can get about it. I can't imagine what it's like to be that young and to just be right there, about to sort of take off and to have to just sort of pause. Very frustrating. But the thing that gives me hope always is that I remember, I've said before, I've lived long enough to realize that times like this, times of great change and unrest and trouble, are filled with the possibility of enlightenment and change and growth. And it does not feel good while it's happening. Change is difficult. Change can be very painful. But I have so much hope, and I have a strong belief that we are all going to come out on the other end of this better people for it. And there's going to be some really beautiful art created from that.
Yeah.
So just hang in there, everyone. We're going to come back. We're going to be able to do what we do again. You just have to have a little patience and a little fortitude and belief and hope.
Well, thank you so much, Sean Allan Krill.
Thank you.
I am so happy to be
Me
chatting
too.
with you. And take care.
You
and
too.
Best of luck.
Stay healthy.
You too.
I will.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.